A new poll in the race for the Democratic nomination for president is a dead heat between Joe Biden and Elizabeth Warren. But in a field of more than 20 candidates, is it time for some of the lower performers to drop out? Here to talk about this is Travis County GOP Chairman Matt Mackowiak and Ed Espinoza from Progress, Texas. Ed, Beto is up to 6%. Castro's lower than that. What about turning these presidential runs into congressional races?
Congressional races, maybe U.S. Senate races might be the better way to say it. Yeah, I think that's probably something that people should start considering right now. By people, I mean specifically the candidates. Look, this is a field of 20-plus candidates. It's really down to about 5 or 6 candidates, which is what a normal presidential primary normally looks like. With some of these other candidates, whether it's Beto O'Rourke or Julian Castro, looking at the Texas Senate race, we have a handful of people who are already running for Senate here in Texas, but none that have the name recognition of Beto O'Rourke or who have experience raising $80 million. So that is a tall order to fill, and Beto fills it right now. Look, the presidential campaign is just not going the way that some thought it might. There's a lot of road left to go, but sooner or later, some people have to make some decisions. We'll see.
Matt Mackowiak, what about that Beto or Castro running for Senate in Texas or Congress?
Yeah, I mean, I think if you look at the presidential field with, I think, 23 candidates, maybe 24 with Steyer back in, you know, as Ed said, I think there's a top tier of 4 people. You probably put Buttigieg 5th. After that, I'm not sure who's really in sort of 6th place. I think it's quite a distance down.
Yeah.
And so you're going to see, I think, the forcing mechanism be qualifying for the September and October debates. You're going to have a much smaller number of people qualify. You may have 5 or even 8 candidates not qualify. If they're not in those debates, their campaigns are basically going to cease to exist in a public sense. Now, I actually think Castro and Beto are both going to be in those September and October debates, although I don't know that either has formally qualified yet to meet the polling and donor thresholds. Look, the problem Beto and Castro both have is they have been running as progressive candidates at the national level, and that is not how you get elected statewide in Texas, particularly in a presidential cycle. Beto came out for a national gun registry just a couple days ago. Julian Castro has talked about basically making it not a criminal charge to cross the border illegally. So these are positions that are outside the mainstream of the electorate in Texas. They've been trying so hard to become the Democratic nominee for president, they've made themselves, I think, unelectable at the statewide level if they were to drop down and run for U.S. Senate.
Well, what do you think about that, Ed? Would those things make them unelectable? I mean, thinking about middle-of-the-road Texas Democrats, are they going to go for those sort of policies?
Look, no candidate matches an electorate 100%. And the fact that Texas Republicans have been against the Affordable Care Act since day one is a perfect example of that. Health care is the #1 issue in Texas. The Affordable Care Act is popular in Texas. Republicans are against it, and both Beto and Julian Castro are for it. So I think with that distinct difference, that's an important one to note. I think they would both be fine. The thing that I think is a bigger risk for these candidates running for president is that with Texas having such an early primary, that if somebody were to drop out and become the party nominee, they have then effectively eliminated any chance that they could be a vice presidential candidate on a ticket. I don't know that that's really their first and foremost thought right now. By the way, Beto has qualified for the next debate.
Okay.
Julian is on the is just on the cusp, but Matt is right in that you're going to have a much smaller field. You'll have a max dozen candidates qualify for this next round. It's going to winnow the field quite a bit.
Okay, we've got to wrap it up. Ed, Matt, thank you both very much.
Thanks.
Thanks.